Well, folks, America is at it again, divided as ever. This time it's about President Biden's decision to commute the sentences of 37 federal death row inmates. That's right, 37 people who were facing execution will now spend the rest of their lives behind bars. No chance of parole. Biden's move sent shockwaves through the nation. It was a bold statement, one that reignited the debate about the death penalty in America. Some people were outraged. They saw it as a betrayal of justice, a slap in the face to the victims and their families. Others hailed it as a victory for human rights. They argued that the death penalty is cruel and unusual punishment. They said it's time for America to join the ranks of civilized nations and abolish it for good. Now, Biden didn't just wake up one morning and decide to empty out death row. He had his reasons. He's always been a vocal critic of the death penalty. He believes it's applied unfairly, particularly against people of color, and he's argued that it doesn't deter crime. So what does this all mean? Well, it's a sign that the tide may be turning on the death penalty in America. More and more people are starting to question its morality and its effectiveness, and with Biden in the White House, there's a real chance we could see some major reforms to the criminal justice system. As you can imagine, not everyone was thrilled with Biden's decision. The Trump camp went ballistic. They called it abhorrent and a slap in the face to the victims. Trump himself, well, let's just say he wasn't happy. He probably tweeted about it from his golf course. You know the drill. But the reactions were actually mixed. Some victims' families were furious. They felt like Biden was spitting on the graves of their loved ones. They wanted to see these criminals pay the ultimate price. They wanted revenge, and who can blame them? They've been through hell and back. They deserve justice. But here's the thing. Not all victims' families feel the same way. Some of them actually supported Biden's decision. They believe in forgiveness, they believe in second chances. They don't want to see any more violence, even if it's state-sanctioned. On the other side of the aisle, advocacy groups and religious leaders were singing Biden's praises. They called it a historic step towards justice. They've been fighting for this moment for decades, and they finally had a president who was willing to listen. They argued that the death penalty is inherently flawed. They pointed to the countless cases of innocent people being sentenced to death. They talked about the racial bias in the system, and they reminded everyone that even the worst criminals are still human beings. Religious leaders from across the spectrum also chimed in. They quoted scripture. They talked about the sanctity of life. They reminded us that forgiveness is always an option. They basically gave Biden a standing ovation. So where does this all leave us? Well, it's still too early to say for sure. But Biden's decision could be a turning point in the fight against the death penalty. It certainly sparked a national conversation about it. And that's a good thing. We need to be talking about these issues. We need to be having these difficult conversations. Only time will tell if Biden's decision will lead to lasting change. But one thing's for sure. America is changing. The old ways of thinking are being challenged, and the fight for a more just and equitable society continues. Stay tuned, folks. This is just the beginning.